So we just wait another 10 minutes until it's 11 a.m. and then we can officially start the ULEAD conference. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I give to the honorable judges, timekeepers, and fellow participants who are willing to compete and attend this meeting today. Welcome to Youth Leadership, better known as ULEAD, the competition, the main event of Star Confex 6th edition. Established in 2017, Youth Leadership, or ULEAD, was established in the first place to assemble the greatest minds in the world, of schools in Malaysia, and create solutions or resolutions to solve issues and problems that exist in the world as a whole. We as a human population can see that there are many issues that we face in this world. Climate change, there are problems with our health, there are problems with our education today. And we assemble great thinkers from all around Malaysia to figure out solutions to these problems, and we are seeking the best solutions. Whether you are a judge or a participant or even the organizers, we are seeking the best solution to one of the worstest problems in this world today. So I believe that we do not have to delay any longer, and we can officially begin our first presentation for the competition. So on the first slot is Sekolah Tun Fatimah on their Sustainable Development Goal. I believe that we can begin now.
Before I start, I'm going to make sure, am I audible to everyone? Good, okay. So we will start our presentation in 3, 2, 1. The teacher shortage in Malaysia is real, large, and growing worse than we thought. It harms the students, teachers, and the education system as a whole. Now, lack of sufficient teachers threatens students' ability to learn and reduce teachers' effectiveness. This makes it more difficult to build a solid reputation for teaching and to professionalize it, which further contributes to perpetuating the shortage. But before we dive in further into the issue, let us first introduce ourselves. Speaking as your presenter today, my name is Intan Ayu Irina, and the one controlling these amazing slides you see on your screen is my friend Sharifatul Kamalia. And we are representing the one and only Sekolah Tun Fatimah. Our team's presentation falls on SDG 4, which is quality education. So the aim of SDG 4 is to ensure equitable and an inclusive quality education and promote learning opportunities, which are lifelong and for all. Our main focus is target 4.C, which is to substantially increase the supply of qualified teachers by 2030. So teachers are the key to achieving all of the SDG 4 targets. It requires urgent attention because the equity gap in education is worsened by the shortage of teachers, especially in disadvantaged areas. For today. Now, educating and shaping young minds to become well-functioning members of society is no easy feat. However, it is no secret that government teachers are not paid as well as they should. This leads to numerous other problems that target 4.C of SDG 4 has explicitly stated previously. So what happens when the teachers are not paid enough? Here comes the 2 keywords from before. I hope everyone still remember what they are. So number 1, they are not empowered. Teachers are paid less than their college-educated peers in other professions that requires the same level of qualifications. This causes already existing teachers to opt for a different career. Even worse, it gives a general idea to the public how teaching is a B-list job, when in reality, teachers are the frontliners of a nation's education system and should be regarded more highly than they are right now. Number two, they are not motivated. Low salaries makes it harder to attract new teachers, as proven by Malaysia's past senior education minister, Dato Dr. Radzi Jidin, on June 20th, 2021, who said that the shortage of teachers for the schools is due to the lack of candidates from the institutes of teachers' education. When college graduates see their peers offered better salaries and a better lifestyle in other professions, it can become difficult to convince them to pursue teaching. Hence, explains why the issue of lack of fresh graduates applying for teaching positions exists in Malaysia. Now, what is the solution we have in mind to overcome this problem? In accordance to the theme that was well chosen by the wonderful hosting school of Star Confex, Power of the Past, Force of the Future, our solution uses an already existing performance-based pay system in Denver, a city in United States called ProComp. But we're going to enhance that system further to fit the requirements needed to overcome the problem in Malaysia. But first things first, what is ProComp? ProComp, short for professional compensation, is a pay-for-performance Denver's public schools compensation system that's intended to add bonuses for teachers on top of base pay. It started in 2005 and is funded by a tax increase with a minimum of $25 million in taxes per year. This system is the first of its kind in the nation, and other districts have since adopted it. ProComp makes a connection between financial incentives and a teacher's effectiveness based on what and where they teach, and also professional development activities. In baby words, it just means that higher performing teachers receive more compensation while lower performing teachers receive less. The logic is to improve the overall quality of the teacher workforce by attracting and retaining effective teachers, particularly in high needs schools, to get strong teachers in front of kids who really needs them. Based on the data from 2001 to 2016, ProComp has improved student achievement and attracted and retained stronger teachers at a higher rate than they would have had. But there exists a weakness that we wish to improve on, which is how a large part of the performance-based pay objectives rest in standardized test scores. Most teachers offer much more than just the ability to meet learning objectives or goals. Teaching should be about more than just a test score. Ideally, teachers should be rewarded for the size of the impact they make and for making a difference in the lives of their students. Sometimes those qualities are the ones that goes unrecognized and unrewarded. Teachers have a powerful influence on their students, yet they're relegated to ensuring that their students are going to pass a mere test. It skews the real value of a teacher when you only base the job they are doing on meeting a certain grade in tests and exams. Here's our proposal for an enhanced version of ProComp as a solution for the teacher shortage in Malaysia. So instead of basing it majorly on how many students of a certain teacher pass a test or get good grades, we want the bonus pay of ProComp to be based on how much a student improves, be it academically or in co-curricular participation. To highlight the difference more clearly, the already existing system of ProComp is based on how many students gets an A in an exam, while this enhanced version will be based on how many D or E graded students improves to get a higher grade in the next test, be it C, B, or even A grades. How will our solution empower and motivate, you ask? So first, it empowers because this system will call for a competition amongst teachers and ignites passion for them to have a better classroom experience with their students. Healthy competition pushes teachers to become better, which in turn boosts students' learning. This will empower the profession of a teacher and return the glory it once held in the society. Next, it motivates. performance-based pay system not only provides teachers with an option to make more money, but also motivates them to improve the lives of their students while doing so. So it is a win-win situation, both for the teacher and their students. This system is also an attractive incentive, especially for young teachers and potential ones who have a lot to offer. The opportunity for higher pay is often too compelling to pass up. To passionate teachers, the extra work is definitely worth the higher salary. So in conclusion, by empowering and motivating, we have successfully achieved two of the main components needed in order to fulfill Target 4.C under SDG 4. Using the power of the past, in this case, Denver's ProCop, we enhance it to achieve a better system that will help the issue of teacher shortage in Malaysia for a brighter future. We hope our presentation today has enlightened the minds of the wonderful audience in today's conference and created a platform to discuss of a better education system for Malaysia, ensuring quality education for all. Thank you. Now here is the list of citations and references used for our presentation today.
Thank you very much to SDF for their wonderful presentation on quality education. Now, to welcome it, we now open the floor to the judges first for the Q&A session.
Should I start?
So, judges, do you have any questions to the
Assalamualaikum. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for the wonderful presentation. I have two questions to the team. First of all, can you insight us on how much did the system that you refer to improve in the motivation and empowerment of the teachers in the US? Do you have any information on that?
So you want some insights how it empowered and motivates teachers in the US, was it?
Yeah, do you have any information that you collected or come across? How did it really work in the US that made you decide to choose it?
Yes, because there was an article about how it evaluated the Denver's ProCop, and it evaluated the data from 2001 until 2016 on how the differences between before they implemented the Denver's ProCom and after they implemented the Denver's ProCom, it did actually improve the students' achievement and also overcome the problem of trying to retain strong teachers in schools such as in rural areas. So that's how we actually took the incentive to choose Denver's ProCom, and also because Denver's ProCom is actually like the first stepping stone into making a system which is based on performance rather than based on like rankings or the experience of teachers in their career.
Okay, thank you. My second question is, do you think that might kind of misused by teachers? It's like, because I'm going to be promoted, or maybe my incentive might increase because I have more students passing. So I will just stop passing students to get these incentives. What do you think about that?
Yes, we have thought about that, how people would be questioning, oh, if this was the system you had in place, then would it, like most of the teachers would opt for an affluent school who has students who are already good or can stand on their own, so it's going to be advantageous for them to increase their salary. But that's why our system, if we highlighted the difference, how it's going to be based on how much you improve your students. So that means it will attract teachers to actually to actually help students in disadvantaged areas, because we know that those students surrounded by poverty and a lot of hardships in their lives, they have a lot of room to improve. So let's say like the difference that we highlighted in our presentation of like students who are always having like D or E grades, they have a lot more improvements to get C, B, or A. So that means a lot of room for improvements and a lot of chances for the teachers to actually raise their salary compared to students in a school who mostly has good grades and we're of course, yes, they can improve, but let me just say that the room for improvement in these schools is more okay. The room for improvements for students in schools in rural areas is like more spacious than the room for improvement in schools who are actually have good students.
Thank you.
Oh, sebab kau punya kat YouTube kan?
Okay.
Kau-
Dah.
kau buka ni. Okay, so thank you so much for the questions coming from the judge. Now, are there any more questions coming from the judges, or shall we open the floor towards the participants?
Yeah, can I ask a question? Okay, my name is Amlir. Okay, actually it's not a question, it's just a comment. I feel that this is a passing remark. I think we are focusing so much on the academic excellence, the number of A's and whatnot, those kind of things. But I think we should also focus on the integrity or the ethical part of a student. This is very, very much emphasized in the national philosophy of education and should also be stressed in your presentation. So how do we make teachers to be wiser and motivated in terms of developing well-balanced individuals at schools, so that in the future we don't only have people who are clever or intelligent, but also a generation which is full of wisdom, who can make good decisions, ethical decisions. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you for the lovely question. Basically, for this system, teachers can now actually help students in these rural areas which require more need and attention in almost every aspect in their life, like how they're doing financially and the values that these teachers can implement into their lives. Just because this system really is not just about improving your grades, it's about improving the students' overall life on this very earth. It's like the values the teachers can implement in during class, and also how they actually care more and take note about the little things. Like maybe before this, I didn't know how to read, or I didn't know how to value the emotions of reading inside the book, but because of this enhanced version of the system, which does not stress on specifically excelling in a test score, it makes me more motivated to just learn and think about the other things in life, like the morals, like being polite to other people and so on.
And
Okay,
just
thank you for that
for
explanation. Yeah.
And just for
Okay.
an adding remark, we want to stress how in our world, we want people to know that in order for you to improve academically, a lot of other things also influence on how you perform in your schools. So by taking to know like all these other outside factors that actually influence a student's performance in like tests or exams, teachers can also get involved in the lives of their students in order for them to improve how they study. So we feel like that's the chain reaction that we're trying to go for with the system that we want to implement.
Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you so much.
So I believe that we have run out of time for questions. As we all know, we started a bit late. We'll probably extend our event to around 1 or 1:30. Now we move on to the next presentation coming from College Tunku Kosia with their Sustainable Development Goal, Quality Education.
All right, before I begin, is my voice audible and is also the screen very clear? All right, so I'll just accept it that it's all fine. All right, so I'll be starting my presentation in 3, 2. Ladies and gentlemen, I want you to imagine what a world with hundreds of millions of students with no quality education would look like. I want you to think about a world where these students who deserve the right to education are not able to do so because of, say, challenges such as workplace, such as poverty, and so on and so forth. Ladies and gentlemen, what's unfortunate is this isn't something that you imagine. It's something that's happening in reality, and it's something that is happening now. There are about 130 million children in school who are not learning basic skills like reading, writing, and math. And globally, the UN estimates that 69 million new teachers are required to achieve universal primary and secondary education by 2030. Before I go further on, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I bid to everybody present here today. So our topic for today is in terms of quality education under the theme of power of the past and force of the future. So before we delve further, let's present to you who are actually part of our team. First, you have me, Azra Arisa Uma, and I'll be presenting these slides today. And then we also have Maria Zahida Al-Azam Suri, who we call Maria. And she's going to be the one who are presenting in terms of sharing the screens for today's slides. All right, so what will we be doing for you today in today's presentation? First is we're going to be providing a short introduction, some definitions in order for you all to ensure the understanding towards what we're going to be presenting for today. Secondly, we're going to be presenting some issues that we find are major or are constantly happening in today's world. 3, we're going to be providing our resolution. 4, an overview of what we've done for you. And 5, last but not least, is the Q&A session. All right, so let's move on to the themes and definitions and basically the introduction. Let's look towards power of the past and force of the future. So what we think this theme means is we will be using past resolutions that may or may not have succeeded and using our current conveniences to improve and provide new resolutions that will become the driving force of a promising future. What we mean by this is basically we're going to be taking the past and looking towards what has happened in the past as lessons for us to use in the current future in order for us to provide new resolutions that are enhanced in order to achieve a better future in terms of education. Moving on, let's look towards quality education. So based on Education International, a Belgium-based organization, they define quality education as one that focuses on the social, emotional, mental, physical, and cognitive development of each student, regardless of gender, race, ethnicity, socioeconomic status, or geographical location. Moving on, let's look towards the issues we wish to highlight on today. Ladies and gentlemen, what does education look like right now in status quo? We think that there are a few issues that come with it in terms of first, discrimination and inclusivity, quality of our teachers, and also lastly, the safety of our schools. First, we would like to focus on discrimination and inclusivity. So if you look towards the form here, if you look towards the graph here, we can see that there are still certain countries where a certain gender, which is basically women or girls, are not allowed to go to school for certain reasons. Why does this happen? Because of the belief and culture that girls don't need an education, and it's also not an appropriate environment for students to go to school in the first place. For instance, people believe that girls and women should actually stay at home and help in terms of house chores and so on and so forth. So why we think it's important for us to stop this and why it's important for us to overcome this is first to fix the world economy. Second, to open up opportunities to more development in terms of these students, these children. And lastly, to raise educated generations of women as well as men. Overall, just basically raising a generation where they are all provided with the rights to education in the first place. So let's look towards what has happened in the past and how we can use it for the betterment of the future. Education looked like back then, 71 years ago, 90% of girls and women aged above 15 were illiterate. Thus, the government, in terms of basically the Chinese government, implemented the 9-year compulsory education for girls. What do we see is the outcome of this? We see that Chinese women now comprise the world's third largest consumer market. And we also see that Chinese women contribute 41% to China's GDP, which is also the highest globally. So we tell you that by taking into consideration of what has happened in the past and what we have done in the past, we're actually able to use this to our advantage to provide a better resolution. So what can we use with the future? We tell you that currently in status quo, people are very aware with the rights of education and people do wish to raise awareness. And we also think that in the future, we definitely should use the past as a lesson and also take, say, a lesson from what has happened in the past. Moving on to our next issue is the quality of our teachers. So if you look towards this tweet here, you can see, and then you ask why Malaysian English standards have fallen to incomprehensible levels. If you look towards the pictures very closely, you can see that the teacher who is basically marking the work of the student is actually marking it wrongly in terms of providing different answers than the ones that should be provided to the student. So we tell you, in this situation, how are we supposed to ensure that these students are able to be taught the proper things? So what are unqualified teachers in the first place? Unqualified teachers are teachers who do not possess the prescribed teaching qualifications, but possess educational qualifications as may be approved under the Act. How does this happen? How are unqualified teachers in the workplace in the first place? Many institutions require that you have a degree or diploma in education, but you can still become a teacher without it if you happen to have the relevant subject experience. So let's take a look towards the past and what we can take from it. We tell you that the multiple teacher training programs such as Program Ijazah Sarjana Muda Perguruan is something that we should take advantage of. We also tell you that in the past, people prioritize educational background rather than social behavior, such as having an honorable background of physics can make you a teacher, especially due to the fact that there are a shortage of teachers right now. So what we can take from the past is instead of making it, somewhat just because you have a background means you can become a teacher, we want to make it mandatory that these teachers who want to become teachers need to have a degree, a diploma, and they also have to ensure that the future teachers are qualified in terms of understanding social behavior and emotions. Lastly, let's look towards safety of schools. So how safe are today's schools actually? Let's look towards the physical safety of these students. Sometimes nowadays, we see in countries such as the US, school shootings and school intruders are ever so evident. And also in terms of mental safety, there are so much stuff going on such as bullying, pressure, and mental health issues such as anxiety and stress. So what do we wish to do about this? Let's look towards the initiatives in the past. We have provided gun laws, guards at school, and based on the Basic Education Act of 1998, every student must receive school counseling services. How do we enhance this? We tell you that it's important for us to frequently educate children in terms of safety, and we should also benefit technology nowadays, such as CCTVs and detectors for schools that need it. And lastly, we should also employ counselors that are very qualified and we can ensure that they are able to do their job properly. So what is our overall resolution? What do we take from our previous solutions and what do we wish to do with 3 solutions that we provided to you? We tell you that we want to provide one single resolution called Integrative Education System. So what is this integrative education system? It includes first ensuring that the school administration is qualified. Teachers must have a degree in education. Social behavior tests will be conducted to ensure that these teachers actually do have the emotional ability to understand students when teaching in the classroom. School counselors must be equipped with evaluation, i.e. school counselor performance appraisal. And also these counselors must not carry 2 or more other jobs in the school. What we mean by this is these counselors should only solely be counselors and only just provide help in terms of mental help, physical help towards these students in the school. Secondly, implementing and providing funding for safety measures. So we talk about implementing CCTVs, metal detectors to schools that are at risk for, say, school intruders and so on and so forth. Other than that, counselors must also frequently provide student evaluation so that we can ensure and identify which students actually need help in terms of their mental health. Thirdly, students are taught on safety procedures such as gun threats, and also, as we see right now, students are going through, say, fire tests and so on and so forth. And lastly, we must be very realistic with the students. What we mean by this is these students must be aware and must be sort of provided the background information as to the threats that may happen in school and the dangers that may happen in school in order for us to be able to sort of avoid these problems from happening in the first place. All right, thirdly, we must also enforce that any and all students who are able should be attending school. This ensures that all rights are preserved, and the government body must also try to at least provide incentives to families in need. So lastly, let's look towards some information. Basically, this program is going to be implemented as a step-by-step program by the government when funding and support is available. So step-by-step means, we're going to be enforcing what can be enforced at the moment and pushing to be able to enforce the other requirements in the near future. And also, we must refer to the administration boards of schools in the country in order to have that teamwork. So lastly, let's look towards the possible outcomes. In terms of the pros of this program, is we are able to provide a more efficient and functioning school system. Children are brought up in a positive environment and express the message about importance of education. And all in all, it's a holistic plan. Let's look towards the cons in terms of taking time. It's a huge project and it takes a lot of work and effort. But we think that it's necessary for us to take these risks, to take these cons, because in the end, what we're trying to provide is a better education for the children who are the face of the future. Ladies and gentlemen, what have we done for you? We have identified major issues, we've appreciated the past and integrated current benefits, and also provided a resolution that covers all issues overall. Ladies and gentlemen, before I end my presentation, education is the passport to the future, for tomorrow belongs to those who prepare for it today. Thus, we thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for lending me your ears. You can have them back. Thank you very much for listening.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and thank you so much, TKC, for that wonderful presentation. Now we open to the floor about a Q&A. First of all, the judges, do you have any questions towards the presentation you have seen just now?
May I? Thank you for your presentation, Azra. Very good presentation. One comment is probably I can ask also, why didn't you focus on one of the issues? Because you have kind of addressed 3 different issues. I couldn't see the connection between providing education for the female. I mean, how do we relate this to the other 2 issues? Can you explain? Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. So one of the things that we wanted to provide in terms of our resolution is we wanted to provide somewhat a resolution that is going to be able to cover most of the problems that these schools are going through. And one of the reasons that we focus on different issues in terms of, let's say education towards women and also in terms of the quality of the teachers is so that we are able to identify and sort of overcome these small issues, or basically these issues that are part of what is making education so hard to attain, or what is making education so, say, not qualified enough towards these students overall. So we also think that even though there is not really a clear, there's not really a clear tie, or there's not really a clear similarity between the issues, when we look towards these issues overall, and when we look towards this resolution overall, we're able to see that these resolutions actually cover issues in these schools, and these schools, taking into consideration the resolution that we provided, are able to solve the major issues that are at hand.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, judges, for that question. If there are no more questions from the judges, I'd like to open towards the participants on the floor to ask questions instead.
We have one. Okay, so my question is, notice that the major problem about lack of teachers is not the qualification of teachers. Why? Because every teacher who want to apply for being a teacher has an adequate qualification. But the main problem here is the poor working condition and also the low pay wage. So how can your resolution actually solve this problem?
Right, thank you so much for the question. We believe that by highlighting this issue, by implementing the program that we have stated, this will also bring awareness to, as you said, the short pay wage for teachers. Like we said, we give them more works. We want to implement this program. Thus, they will be rewarded with more rewards, with more pay wage. I hope that answered your question.
Thank you very much. Questions coming from the participants. We have around 1.5 minutes left. Are there any more questions?
Yes, there's a question from SF. Our main questions is regarding around the feasibility of your resolution. So you said about something ensuring everyone has a right to go to school, right? So we question, where do you get the money to actually financially support these students? Because we know a lot of them cannot go to school because they cannot afford, let's say, the school uniforms, the school administration fee, and also the stationery. So please clarify to us about the feasibility of ensuring everyone going to school.
Right. So about the shortage of finance, like we stated, this is a step-by-step program that can be fully enforced when we have the full financial support for it. And when, let's say, a country which are financially able to implement this program and they have implemented it successfully, thus this will bring the awareness to the other countries to move forward and to looking forward to implement this program to their own country. I hope that clarifies.
Okay, so we have officially run out of time for Q&A sessions, and therefore that ends the presentation coming from PKC. Thank you very much. Before we move on to the next presentation coming from Intergom, I believe that we have to give some time for the judges to put their scores for each school into the Google form that we have provided for them. So we'll just take a rest for a while. So, Mike. Now we have confirmed that all judges have filled in the Google Forms, and now we move on towards the next presentation coming from Intercom with their Sustainable Development Goal, Good Health and Well-being.
Test 1, 2, 3. Ladies and gentlemen, bright girls are bold and confident. They are not scared of the period of their body, but seeing young ladies in third world countries have to face period poverty till now makes my heart shattered into pieces. Thus, let's get to know more about period poverty in third world countries based on our SDG, Connect Strongly, which is good health and well-being. Before I begin, a very good morning I bid to honorable judges, timekeepers, and also ladies and gentlemen. So basically, period poverty or menstruation is a natural phenomenon that women have no control over. And the average woman spends about 7 years of their life on her period. From the moment women begin to menstruate, they are faced with the social norms and taboos that dictate how they live and take part in society. This moment and from an early age, women are told to hide and deal with their emotions and their period in silence with little to no information to do so. Period poverty is a major health concern that affects women, and it doesn't include just about women can afford buying pads, but also lack of knowledge on menstruation and also less access of toilets and also privacy. Neglecting menstrual health hurts and harms women's health mentally and also physically. As a result of that, we have seen many reports on the alternatives. These women are forced to use unsanitary items such as old blankets, chicken feathers, dried mud, newspaper, and also cow dung. Look, this makes my heart shattered more into pieces. And let's get to know more why period poverty happened in third world country. First of all, as we all know, third world country and these communities are already facing financial difficulties leading to women struggling to access menstrual products. These low income and period poverty also describe the struggles many low income women and girls face while trying to afford menstrual products. This term also refers to increased economic vulnerability women and girls face due to the financial burden posed by menstrual supplies. These include not only menstrual pads and tampons, but also related costs such as pain medications and others. As an example, country in Kenya, students have to engage in transactional sex to afford menstrual products. Look, when the students have to engage in such thing to actually afford and access menstrual products. And second one, let's get to know more about unaffordable products. Tampon tax and also pink tax. These popular terms to call attention to tampons and other feminine hygiene products being subjected to value-added tax or sales tax. 128 countries worldwide still put standard rate taxes on menstrual products. There are also 20% tax that we put for tampon tax and also pink tax. Look, when the women have to actually choose between the basic needs and also basic needs or menstrual products, or in the other hand, they have to choose between a plate of food or a pack of pads because of the unaffordable products and also for the price that they can't afford to buy. Next, the stigma. Let's get to know more about this because of the strong superstitions that also exist about period which cause stigma and sections that can be life-threatening. Social stigma that has been handed out 4 generations and girls feel too ashamed and isolated to go to school. As an example, a common assumption that you can't go swimming whilst menstruating. Even those who understand that this wasn't true say they would feel uncomfortable getting in the water in case they leak. Look at the stigma that actually isn't true or even means that have been handed down 4 generations. As an example, country in Nepal, menstruating women are deemed as dirty and also untouchable. They are banished to menstrual huts during the cycle. This stigma makes the girls feel uncomfortable to be around, and they just feel like they isolated themselves from anyone else. Hence, this effect actually leads to the lack of education because 2 out of 3 girls may avoid school because they haven't been educated about their period. In Ethiopia, out of 791 respondents, says 68.3% have poor knowledge about menstruation, about the menstrual products. They don't know what is period, honestly, because this misconception, and they have a misconception in their brain, and also knowledge is thinking about period poverty is separate issue to poverty, when in reality, this is a necessity. Lack of education and things going on, the girls has less self-confidence to be bright and to actually attend the school. With these why and also affect the effects that we are going to present after this. First of all, in terms of health, the World Bank highlights that across the world, an estimated 500 million lack access to menstrual products and also adequate facilities for menstrual hygiene management. Why I would say so? Because it's easier for them to suffer from UTI and also spread of other infections such as hepatitis B to the young ladies and young women because of the physical and they cannot actually attend outdoor activities and also affect their mental. Why I would say so, they affect their mental? Because it's prone to bullying and also premenstrual syndrome, and they don't know what is actually premenstrual diaperic disorder. These two syndromes actually affect their mental because of the period poverty and also because of their menstrual cycle and so on. For your information, PMDD is actually a more serious form of premenstrual syndrome or PMS. It causes physical and also emotional symptoms every menstrual cycle in the week or 2 before your period. PMS cause bloating and headaches. But these ladies, these young girls, and these women, they don't know about those stuff. And actually, it's affect their education. Why? Education, they have less access to quality education because they can't go to school comfortably with with a good pads and so on. In sub-Saharan Africa, some girls can miss up to 20% of their school year, with some dropping out their school altogether because of their period, as well as impacting their education. This can put risk children and young girls of child marriage and also early pregnancy because they don't have a really good access for their menstrual product for them to buy and afford to buy those things, and actually can affect society by having early pregnancy. Whether it is the lack of money to afford sanitary pads and other products or limited access to menstrual sanitation, period poverty also have been shown to have extremely negative implications for women's education and also the society. Undoubtedly, period poverty contributes to school and university absences, but there are also other factors that women are less likely to attend and achieve low academic results as a result of the stigma, poor sanitation facilities, shame associated with people, as well as impacting themselves and impacting the overall of their body. Next, let's get to know about the resolutions, because all these effects and all these causes that have been caused by the period poverty should have the resolutions and also things to be addressed. First of all, school. School have to distribute dignity kits, such as United Nations Population Fund have done, like stocking every school bathroom or health center with free menstrual supplies, or provide the student with knowledge on managing their menstruation by improving awareness about menstruation in their syllabus. Because we all know education is the single most powerful way to defeat period poverty. However, this education is not a typical classroom education where theoretical knowledge is the primary basis, but it's actually education including discussion on menstrual health and hygiene and including sanitation and also hygiene facilities. Next, talking about society. The society, they have to break stereotypes and also stigma. This has been voiced out by United Nations Population Fund, saying that the society has to start and support initiatives that promote access to menstruation products and information about menstruation, changes, and hygiene practices. These ensure a positive and supportive environment that allows menstruating people to participate in all aspects of life, going to schools, going to work, doing outdoor activities, and choose menstruation And also, they have to employ zero tolerance to dirty jokes about menstruation and also choose menstruation products from brands that support ending period poverty. And the last resolution is, of course, by the government, because they have to improve the safety of the toilets and also improve the safety of the bathing facilities. This promotes menstrual health and provide treatment to girls and women suffering from menstrual disorder. And it provides treatment to women from menstrual disorder by creating sustainable solution by increasing access to affordable menstrual products and so on. Hence, with this resolution, we have the real life implementations that happen. First, we have Maila Mahila Foundation that provide training and jobs to women in India for them to work and actually gain money to buy menstrual pads and so on. Second, Pet Up Africa is a unique name, right? Because they provide basic reproductive health and also education. Next, Malaysia, our lovely country, will provide free sanitary napkins to targeted groups. And also, next, Scotland provide free sanitary products that can be implemented to few countries such as the third world countries. As of now, I believe as a young ladies that care about other ladies and also women, we believe this topic shouldn't be a taboo. We should talk and actually voice out about the great poverty in the third world countries. Hence, thank you for your attention. Assalamualaikum.
Thank you very much, Mr. Gong, for that wonderful presentation on good health and well-being. Just a note to everyone, Intergom made that presentation in 2 days. So I'm quite impressed. Now we'll open the Q&A sessions towards the judges, if the judges have any questions.
All right, thank you for the presentation. Very impressive as well. Now, I just want to, I wonder about when you talk about educating the girls about this topic. I didn't see any use of technology. Now we have technology available. Is there any way that we can incorporate technology into providing kind of education to the girls about this matter?
First of all, thank you for the questions. How will we actually gain and give the knowledge to girls by using the technology, such as promoting the importance of having period and also the process and the knowledge about breaking the stigma and stereotypes, so on, through the media, the social media, because I believe that social media has a lot of initiative and also have via social media hashtags like hashtag periods are not an insult, hashtag period positive, hashtag happy to bleed that being circulating in social media, that I believe everyone should know and gain knowledge from that so that these period poverty can be prevented.
Questions coming from the judges? If not, I'd like to open the floor to the participants now. Any questions from other participants?
We have a question. Right, hello, dearest delegates from Intercom. So could you please re-highlight where you incorporated the past in your resolution? Please, thanks.
Thank you for the wonderful question. Firstly, I'm so sorry I cannot turn on my camera because the organizer have stopped my camera. So ways we implement the plus in our resolution is that let's take a look at our real life implementation, where we have shown to you how in Malaysia and in Scotland, let's take a look at Scotland. It's a developed country where they already promote free sanitary napkins to everybody countrywide, right? So we want to promote these state resolutions, these state laws to other third world countries such as Kenya and Indonesia, so that everybody have their own sanitary napkins and they can have access to those things, so that they can comfortably. So this is where we incorporated the past in the future of our resolution. So I hope that answers your question.
Thank you very much for follow-up answer for the question. Now we have about 2 minutes left. Now we want to open questions to the floor. Are there any questions coming from any other participants?
We have one. So my question is, your solution regarding the society about breaking the stigmatization and also stereotype. So far, you haven't actually clarified any ways of any methods at all to actually execute that plan. So my question is, how do you actually break the stigmatization and also stereotypes?
Okay, thank you for the question. Honestly, to break this stereotype will take a long time, but we know that actually we can break the stereotype slowly by, as I said before, through the social media, through the media itself, that can actually ensure a positive and supportive environments that allows menstruating people to actually feel comfortable with themselves, and also to break the stereotype. It has to start from school, or even start from social media and everywhere. So I think that will answer the question. And also, the parents should teach about the period, not just about joke. And this topic shouldn't be a taboo, as I said before. Thank you for the question.
Thank you very much for the question. We have run out of time for our Q&A session. So for now, we'll give some time for the judges to fill in their scores for Intergov and move on to our next presentation coming from Star A. Okay. Although only one judge hasn't filled in the Google form yet, we will continue with the presentation coming from Star A. Quality education.
Hello, am I audible? Okay. I would like to start my speech in 3, 2, 1. Now, education is the most powerful weapon which you can use to change the world. I, Arif Nazril, am a high school student, and I am embarrassed. I am embarrassed because of the fact that our educational system today is failing to fulfill its purpose, which why it was created in the first place. I feel like as if today the educational system, is aiming or targeting students to fail even more rather than to help them achieve success, or rather to teach them life lessons which they can use later on in their lives. And that is why I today, as a representative from Star A, will be presenting to you on how we would like to tackle this issue and how we will achieve the 4th Sustainable Development Goal, which is on quality education under the theme Power of the Past, Force of the Future. Now, in my speech today, I will present to you 6 different things. First of all, I will define on what is meant by quality education. Secondly, I will give to you on what are we trying to achieve at the end of the day. Third of all, I will give you the fundamentals on what create or shape education in the first place. Fourth of all, I will give you the issues, the factors, and the effects of the educational system that is implemented in schools in today's day and age. And fifth of all, I will provide to you the solutions that we have come up, and I will conclude it all at the end of my speech. Now, let's move straight on into the definition. What is the definition of quality education? Well, we would define it as a form of education that aims to prepare students for life rather than just for testing or for exams. Now, judges, notice how that in today's day and age, the educational system that is implemented today focuses or prioritizes much more on quantity over quality. Because notice how that the government today presents you with so much subjects, and they actually think that you can, or they actually want you to master in all of these subjects, but we believe that that is more harmful and that is not quality education, because quality education is defined as a form of education that focuses on the social, emotional, mental, physical, and cognitive development of students, rather than you just giving them so many subjects, so many knowledge for them to pass the exams or pass tests that are set by these governments and schools in the first place. Now, what are we trying to achieve, or what are we trying to prove? First of all, we want to provide and we want to give the students or the youth of today's day and age an appropriate form of education based on the career path that they have chosen, or what interests them the most, because or what interests them the most based on their social emotional state. Secondly, we also want to end up students with a wider range of career opportunities, because in today's day and age, notice how the stigma of society is that you have to be a doctor, you have to be an engineer, or you have to pursue a particular career path, or you have to choose a particular career for you to be considered as successful in the first place. But we want to change the stigma, because we want to tell the students, no, even though you are good at arts, even though you are good at literature, or even though you are good at farming in the first place, you can actually become successful. And we want to provide these students with a much more creative and much more wider thinking on what is success in the first place. And third of all, we will also want to inaugurate and to implement a conducive learning environment for the youth of today and for the students that are in schools. Now, what are the fundamentals that shape education? Well, this is pretty self-explanatory, but I'll explain it to you. First of all, we have the students or the people that go to school to learn. Secondly, we have the syllabus, which is what the students learn in schools. Thirdly, we have the educators or the teachers, which presents the knowledge to the students. And fourth, we have the qualification. The qualification is the process after the students have completed their schooling years, completed high school, and it is a process from when they want to apply for a higher level of education or higher jobs, as for example. Now, and you might be asking to yourself, what are the issues or what are the problems that we face regarding the educational system that is implemented today in schools? Well, we have actually identified there are two problems. First of all is with the syllabus. Now, as I stated before, the syllabus is currently just focusing on the quantity of knowledge that they give you, and they expect you to excel at all of the subjects that they give you. And the education system provides you with a very encumbering or very burdening syllabus, which includes unnecessary topics that has probably little to no implementation in your life in the first place. But we also realize that there comes another problem if you want to change the syllabus. There comes the problems of qualification, because notice how the qualification for you to get scholarships or to enter universities, as for example, directly mirrors or correlates to the syllabus in the first place. Because notice how when you go to job interviews, they will ask you for your, as for example, in Malaysia we have today, they will ask for you for your SPM results, as for example, and they expect you to get 9 A's. And the metric that they use is the more A's you get, the more brilliant you are. Sure, there are other factors such as co-curriculum and other external factors, but we believe the academic is the major one. So we believe that in order, if we want to change the syllabus, we also have to change the problem of qualification, which uses the metric of the more A's you get, or the more better your academic is in all of the subjects combined, the more better of a person you are, or a better student you are. Now, let's move on to the factors on why that we have the educational system we have today. First of all is the government wants to quote and unquote create a multifunctional individual. Secondly, they also would like to somehow increase the field of career path, because they think that, oh, if you are good at all of these subjects, you can choose which one of these subjects and you can pursue any career you want, which we believe is not true and is much more harmful and burdening to the students, to the youth of today in the first place. Now, the third of all is the demand for particular jobs, because as we all know, day by day technology is advancing, and with the advancement of technology, demand for particular jobs, such as for example right now, the demand for software engineers or IT engineers are on the rise. Why? Because technology is furthermore increasing and advancing in the first place. Now, what are the effects of the burdening syllabus that we have in the school today? Is first of all, it is trembling to students to pass irrelevant subjects that they do not want or they do not care about in the first place. Secondly, it is also depriving students from reaching their goals, because notice how in today's day and age, how many students go to school and they feel like they are burdened, they feel like they are not motivated to learn. This is a big problem, causing them to correlate with the third effect, which is restricting students from furthering studies, because they feel like there's no point of them in learning and they feel demotivated in the first place, which causes them to drop out. Now, moving on to what are our solutions to these problems or issues that are apparent in this educational system. Well, we have decided that we would like to give a 3-step solution to this on how to reform and to reshape the educational system entirely. Let's move on to the first level of solution, which is to establish an analytical system that assesses the students' strength and plus points in particular subjects. This looks like the students filling up a form at the end of every year to answer questions like, what do you like to do? What are your plus points? To give not only the government, but also to the students a clearer and a much more crystallized vision on what you are good at and what is your recommended career path when you go into the future to apply for jobs. Now, these records or these results of these analytical assessments will be presented to the students at the end of their primary school period upon entering high school, or Form 1 as we have in Malaysia. This is to recognize the students' utmost potential for their career path so we can polish it even more. Now, let's move on to the second step. After they have already received the analytical assessment, and when they want to step into the high school realm, they will actually be required to choose a syllabus package that is that is suitable for them. Students will be provided with choices of packages based on the analytical assessment that was given to them when they entered Form 1. Now, hence they can focus on their subject of choice. But you might be asking yourself, how does syllabus packages work? And let's take a step back. What is syllabus packages in the first place? A syllabus package is an allocation of subjects based on the student's choice of career path. This means that the students will still go to school and still learn 8 to 9 subjects, but there will be a major and minor system. As for example, if you are good at literature, based on your analytical assessment, you will focus much more on literature, and the subjects such as maths and science and these other subjects will be less focused on, and will be only included at base level, so you will not feel burdened. Now, our third solution is that we want to, as I stated before, change the method of applying for scholarships, because we now want to only focus on what you are good at. For example, if you want to apply to Petronas, for example, they will look at your major subjects, as for example science and all of these that are actually relevant to the company in first place. Sure, they will look at these other subjects, but they will not go deep into that, and will not focus that on the other subjects so much. Now, the effects from our solutions. First of all, we create a more efficient learning process because students are motivated and they know what their goal is. Second, we're able to crystallize the career path for students at an early age. Third of all, we produce specialized individuals on various occupancy departments because now everybody can choose their career path. Fourth, we will maximize the utilization of potential because we know what they are good at from the start. We polish them. Fifth, we sustain the educational path hindering for early abandonment because of the motivation. They won't actually feel like they want to drop out. Sixth, balance the regulation of jobs we get to identify, because not only the students gets the benefits, but also the teachers, because the demand for teachers will also increase later on. Now, I can't stress enough on how it is important to actually reform our educational system. It is important to provide the youth a systematic and effective form of education to stimulate the creativity of their minds as they are the future leaders of upcoming generations. Recognize the flaws of the present, abandon them in the past, so we together can create a much more triumphant future in the upcoming days. Thank you. That is all from us. I rest my case.
Thank you very much, Star A, for that wonderful presentation. Now, we open up the Q&A session and ask if there are any questions coming from the judges.
Thank you, Arif. Well, this is a very out of the box kind of idea on how we can look into improving the education system, as well as giving the students the opportunity to choose their path. Probably there are two issues that I might want you to comment on. The first one, for a country's development, we need to look into to make sure that we have we're covering all aspects of knowledge. At the end of the day, if let's say, I think you are aware of the latest survey on SPM leavers, when more than 70% said they don't want to go into science stream. So you can imagine how that would affect the country's development. In a few years from now, we won't have engineers in Malaysia. We won't have IT technologists. That means we will be lacking in terms of a country which provides technology. We will be more on consumers than providers of technology. Probably we can just comment on this first. Thank you.
Okay, to answer your question now, why do you think that the 70% of SPM do not want to go into science stream? Because first of all, as we said before, they feel burdened. And in our educational system, we are not completely trying to get rid of, as for example, maths or science, as I said before. We are including them at base level. And for people who actually choose maths and science, if they want to be engineers, they can choose that as their major and they can pursue that kind of career. That's no problem. But we are now trying to focus on the people that can't pursue those kinds of education, science and maths, like people who are actually different in another way. So we can actually give them equal opportunities as people who want to become engineers, people who want to become doctors. We will still have doctors and engineers in the present, in the future, but we also want to give an opportunity to the people that do not want to be engineers. Hope that answers your question.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for the question from the judge. Are there any more questions from judges, or shall we continue to open the floor to participants? If there are no more questions from judges, now we open the floor to participants to ask any questions.
Hi, I have a question. So like even right now in status quo, we have like a personality test where every Form 3 is is mandatory for every Form 3 to sit for, so that they can help it with their choosing of syllabus package in their upper forms, right? So, and even right now we have like literature package, science and Islamic studies, and computer science, and all of those various syllabus packages. And right now, even right now, people are suffering because of these choices. So what are the differences between these types of syllabus packages and your syllabus packages that you're trying to show us? Thank you.
Okay, now first, to answer your first question, which is regarding to you stated about the personality test and all. Notice how that the personality test that we have today, first of all, does not actually contribute to anything, because you only fill in the form and you don't actually get the results. It is for the government to know, but this we want to actually be able to crystallize on both sides of that we have here, which is the government and also the students, so the students know what they want. And secondly, about the syllabus packages, is that the syllabus package that we are trying to start from such an early age, so we can polish their skills even more. Because if you only want to start from Form 4, Form 5, what if they are burdened from Form 1, Form 2, Form 3 subjects? Because these are also very hard subjects. And studies have also shown that most people drop out at the age of 15, which is before you actually get to choose the syllabus packages. So we want to implement these syllabus packages at such an early age, so we can produce a much better individual and a much skillful individual in one field. I hope that answers your question. Thank you.
We only have half a minute left. So if there are any other questions?
I have a question. Is that okay for me to ask? Okay. So based on your resolutions, from my understanding, you are basically fighting against the philosophy of teachings, or our national teaching philosophy, which is Jerry. Jerry, our schools are trying to produce students who are physically able, excellent in terms of emotionally, excellent in terms of intellectually, and excellent in terms of their religiously. So by saying they have to choose, they can choose, that means schools are no longer producing students that are holistically stable. So I am asking you, how can school produce such things? Thank you very much.
You're saying that the education system, yes, they want to create a more religious, a more socially, more emotionally excellent student on all aspects. But I do realize that our syllabus package, yeah, we do also include those kind of stuff. Why? Because now we are creating a major and also minor subject, meaning to say they have a major subject that they can focus on, so according to what their career path is, and also we include minor subjects, meaning that we also teach them all the other subjects, but just at the base level. Meaning to say here that they still are able to learn all of these aspects, but just at the base level, and we want to focus on based on their subject of choice and also career path. So in the end of the day, we are able to fulfill the education's purpose, which is to create a more, like you said before, more socially, emotionally, physically, religiously excellent student in all the aspects. Hope that answers.
Thank you very much. For the questions coming from all participants and judges, and the answers coming from Star A. Now we give some time towards the judges to fill in the Google Forms before we move on to the last presentation for this session. Okay, we have confirmed that all judges have filled in the forms for Star A. Now we move on to our last presentation for this session, coming from Seda with their Sustainable Development Goal, Zero Hunger.
Hello. Can you hear me?
Yes.
All right, thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Arif bin Sheikh Kamaruzaman, and I will be your host for our presentation today from Sada. And I will also be joined by my partner, Daniel Esper bin Muhammad Haiza. Say hi, Esper. He is our head of research department. And today we will be discussing about lessons from past and present for a hunger-free future. Hansel and Gretel is a fairy tale that emerged in the late Middle Ages of Germany between the years 1250 to 1500. This is a story about a brother and a sister abandoned in the woods by their parents, after which they fall into the hands of an evil witch who lives in a candy house. Eventually, they defeated the evil witch and returned home with lots.
Excuse me, I think
yes?
we have to do slides. You're not presenting your slides. We see your Zoom, but we don't see your slides.
Is it all right, Rana? Is the slides presented to you? Or is it still
I cannot see any slide here.
You cannot see any slides. Okay, sorry. We will
Don't worry.
I can see your faces, but I cannot see the slide.
All right, we are right now solving this technical issue. Can you see the slides right now?
Nope.
Or still you can only see our
You can only see your
Yeah,
face. See any slide presentation. You're not sharing your screen right now.
share content lah, share content. Kau tak tekan share content tadi. Share dia. Kita nak start podcast. Okay.
Now you are. We can see your slide, but it's like a, you know, when you press the home button twice.
I think right now our slides are having internet connection issues lah. So we're gonna solve these issues right away. After that, we will present our slides. Okay, thank you for your patience waiting for us. We are right now experiencing technical issues.
Your technical issues go too long, you may send a slide towards the delegates group, or you can DM me personally, and we will share your slide for you. Sudha is having a technical issue, I believe. The participant has re-entered the meet. Sudha, are you fine?
For me it's fine, but we are still fixing the slides issue. It doesn't take any longer. We are right now logging in and Zoom again. Okay, we'll try one more time. Okay, to share the screen. Tak boleh, kau kat sini. If cannot, we'll just send the Canva to dia suruh kalau I think we'll be sending the Canva link to the delegates group because we cannot share the slides. Yes. We have sent it to the delegates group. Can you see the link to the Canva slide? Okay,
Okay, so I believe we are now presenting the step from for your slide. If you want to go to the next stage, just say next, and we will do so immediately.
Okay, we'll start from the top, okay? Is that all right? Next, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi, and I will be your host for our presentation today, prepared by Sada. Next slide, please. And I will also be joined by my head of research department, Daniel Esper bin Mohammed Haizan. Today, we will be discussing about lessons from past and present for a hunger-free future. Next slide, please. Hansel and Gretel is a fairy tale that emerged in the late Middle Ages of Germany between the years 1250 to 1500. This is a story about a brother and a sister abandoned in the woods by their parents, after which they fall into the hands of an evil witch who lives in a candy house. Eventually, they defeated the evil witch and returned home with hordes of food. Ladies and gentlemen, the tale of Hansel and Gretel was based on historical famines that plagued Europe. More specifically, the Great Famine of 1315 that struck England, France, Germany, and Western Poland. The famine was so devastating that around 10 to 15% of the population in southern England perished, and roughly 10% of northern France's population suffered the same fate. Food was extremely scarce at the time to the point where parents are willing to abandon their children in forests just to survive another day. This historical event showed us the severity of the implications if a food crisis were to happen. Just imagine the sheer chaos it would cause if a worldwide famine were to occur in modern times. So, my fellow audience, you might think to yourself, if famines and starvations were so devastating, why can't we just stop it? Next slide, please. Well, it's not as simple as that. We have faced multiple setbacks in the past and have yet to find the solutions required to solve them. The lack of cooperation from the wealthiest people in the world, conflicts popping up everywhere on the globe, and unsatisfactory economic growth. All of those are the glaring roots of the food crisis around the world. Next slide, please. Food crisis has been a problem for such a long time because the lack of funding towards the UN's World Food Program, WFP. The director of WFP, David Beasley, publicly stated that it is time for the 99th percentile people in the world to step up. Jeff Bezos, Elon Musk, to name a few. Jeff Bezos chose to ignore the call for help entirely, while Elon Musk came up with demands if the WFP want his cooperation. Elon Musk tweeted that he will sell Tesla stocks that is worth up to $6.6 billion if David Beasley could explain how the money spent could solve world hunger. Elon Musk even demanded for the WFP to use open source accounting for the public eye to see. Despite Elon Musk being ready to help the WFP, little information has been released regarding the $6 billion solution to world hunger, other than David Beasley saying that $46 million for funding is the first step in stopping world hunger. Meanwhile, other billionaires have decided to blatantly ignore the obvious problem. This shows the lack of cooperation from the wealthy, who are only willing to help if they receive profits or benefits. Next slide, please. Let's not forget to mention, conflict between countries will always lead to problems. The civilians will suffer losses due to hostility. Did you know around 60% of the population who suffer starvation live in conflict-affected areas? For example, the feud in Syria, the civil wars across the African continent, and most recently, the Russian-Ukrainian aggression. This is all proven by an article released by the Transparency International Anti-Corruption Organization. My fellow audience, the conflict between Russia and Ukraine not only affects their own countries, but also others around them. Ukraine, a large producer of sunflower seed oil, which supplies up to 50% of the world's total stock. Because of the conflict between Ukraine and Russia, the production of sunflower seed oil has decreased significantly. Other than that, both Russia and Ukraine supply up to 80% for certain countries in Africa of their wheat supply. This needs to be understood in the African context, where people were already besieged by hunger before the war, with more than half the continent's countries requiring food aid. Nothing beneficial ever comes from conflict, especially the one that escalates to the point where war is inevitable. Next slide, please. Last but not least, based on our research, we have identified that the main route to the world's food crisis is unsatisfactory economic growth, specifically in third world countries. The economic growth of a country is heavily dependent on its infrastructure. Without satisfactory infrastructure, the economy will destabilize and basic necessities such as food will become scarce and expensive to acquire. The poor roadway network in Indonesia and India are proof of their poor infrastructure. Roads in India and Indonesia are often congested, making it difficult to transport goods efficiently. This causes rural areas to experience food shortages due to the difficulty in transportation across the country. Another example for unsatisfactory infrastructure is the inadequate access to clean water and sanitization. Next slide, please. All of these problems combine and make food crisis and starvation around the world such a difficult hurdle to overcome. Despite that, me and Esther have done our research in an attempt to solve that problem. Now, we're not exactly the United Nations World Food Program that Elon Musk is hoping for, but I'm sure we have done quite a decent job ourselves. Firstly, governments improving the quality of education around the world is an excellent way to prevent conflicts between countries ever happening again. For example, with improved education, students not only will contribute to the future, but also increases the quality of students produced. This will lead to improved economic growth. Governments could also add political education in their students' curriculum to produce politically aware students. This would lead to a higher quality of political leaders being produced to the country. Thus, with a great leader serving the country, better diplomatic relations can be established. Furthermore, promoting economic growth should be a main agenda in a country's plan for success. Encouraging cooperation from the 99th percentile with the help of the government is a must. With the newly acquired funds from investment from the 99th percentile, it would be the best interest of the millionaires and billionaires to invest in people's capabilities and also sustainable careers. This benefits them with profits, which is what they look for when investing. The lower class will also get their fair share of benefits. Better wealth distributed among citizens is one of the few benefits. There will also be an increase in rate of employment due to the investment. With a higher rate of employment, a higher quality of life is achieved. In the end, this allows basic necessities in this situation, food, to be more accessible. Hopefully, my fellow audience, you have learned plenty of things regarding world hunger. And now, let's move on to the Q&A session. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Siddharth, for that wonderful presentation. And following his closing line, let's move on towards the Q&A session. Are there any questions coming from judges first and foremost?
Thank you, Arif, for the presentation. I'm just wondering, economic growth and promoting economic growth is one of the very critical areas where governments are looking at. How do you think that what's your proposal on promoting economic growth in a way that could address this hunger issue? Thank you.
Could you repeat the last part of the question? It's not quite clear for me. Could you repeat the last part of the question?
I was just asking about what is your proposal regarding economic growth? This is kind of a very critical issue on addressing the hunger.
Okay, so let's say like this. Why promoting economic growth is so important in solving world hunger is because without proper economy in a country, the prices of basic necessities will obviously skyrocket. If a country is experiencing bad economy, having very bad economy, the prices of food will increase, oil will increase, everything will increase. So that means food will be scarce, and like I said before in the presentation, be difficult to acquire. So that is why promoting economic growth is very important for us to solve world hunger. Other than that, how can we promote economic growth towards our people? First of all, governments must play a part because this is the government's job to promote economic growth. They will handle the financial of their country. So the government could give investment features to what its investors from other countries, like let's say from the US. Malaysia could present investment features to the US, to the UK, for them to invest in our country, let's say in our country, and improve our economy. If they improve our economy through investments, they will get the benefit of return on investment. Their profits will get, they will get their profits, and we will also get our benefits by improving our food issues. Is there any more questions regarding my explanations?
Thank you.
Um, are there any more questions? If there are no more from judges, I'd like to open it to the participants.
Hello.
Hi.
I have a question. Your take so far throughout the entire policy has been a very socialist and a very populist kind of run to say that we're just going to abolish private property, either that or private property will have a corporation to do so. How is it what is your mechanism to ensure that they have the incentive or that this is feasible even at your very best?
I can't quite understand. What do you mean by private property having a connection towards our solution? Could you please elaborate more on that so I can give a proper explanation to your question?
Your second part of the resolution involves the 99th percentile. That means
Okay.
that you are involving things like, for example, people who own private property and rich people in general. What do you, how do you think that these people will have the incentive to be able to support? Or even what is your mechanism to ensure that these people will be able to essentially help? Or are you just going to abolish private property, be a socialist state, and ensure that everyone has equal access to resources and be a communist state?
Yes, thank you very much for your explanation. Now I can understand your questions actually. So we are not abolishing any private properties from the rich people. They will get to keep their properties because it's their private properties. We as the government, the government has no right to abolish their claims to their private properties. First of all, okay, to clear you for that. And second, how can rich people, the wealthy people, contribute to the improvements of economic growth, to the improvements of ending world hunger? Is actually by investment. Actually, it's very easy. Like let's say Elon Musk. It's very easy. Let's say Elon Musk. Elon Musk owns around billions upon billions of Tesla stocks, right? Worth billions upon billions of worth of Tesla stocks. 302 billion Tesla stocks to be exact, worth up to. So let's say Elon Musk just sell his Tesla stocks around, let's say 6.6 billion, like my presentation has stated. So yes, by selling his stocks, he will get the money and he will use the money by selling his stocks to invest into the sustainable careers of their citizens and also sustainability in their career path and also in people's capabilities. So other than that, the rich people could also contribute in solving world hunger is just by donating. Donating is also a very good way because rich people have taxes to pay. Obviously, the higher their income yearly is, the bigger the taxes they will have to pay. So one way to, one way to overcome the set taxes from being too high to be paid is by donating. So if the rich people, wealthy people who owns billions upon billions of dollars, who have to pay millions upon millions of tax, just donates to the World Food Program, the amount of tax they have to pay just lessens, and it also actually improves and gives funding towards the World Food Program to do their thing and help solve world hunger. So that is my answer to your question. Is that adequate for you?
Yes, I think that should be sufficient. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for that question and the answers coming from Siddharth. That officially ends the Q&A session for Siddharth's presentation. And now that ends the first session in the morning. And we will continue in the evening at 2:30 p.m. So I advise you to pray and eat first before we move on to our next session. Just know that the people from the participants from the first session may also enter the second session to maybe ask a question for Q&A, or maybe even think of new solutions that you might be interested in other people's presentation. That is absolutely your choice. So I think that ends the first session per day. We will wait for the judges' comments, obviously, and I guess we end the meet here. Thank you very much for attending. Thank you very much for presenting. Thank you very much for judging. And we hope to see you soon and later, probably next year. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.